Hello, everyone, and welcome to Get Better, a show about two longtime friends trying their best, growing up, and hopefully getting better. I'm Zach Johnson.
And I'm fake gamer girl Sam Cherry, here giving you the 411 on the latest gaming news.
The latest gaming news.
Hey there, fellow gamers.
What's up, gamers? What's the latest game you've been playing? What's the last game you played?
The last game I played was can I watch an entire season of WCG Ultimate Gamer in one day? And the answer was no. I got to the finale.
But it was very close.
You know what? I gave it my level best. I really did try. I got the high score, at least between the two
leveled
of us.
up, that's true. Well, the last game I played was Sly Cooper 2, Band of Thieves. And that was around the same time that this show was filming.
What's your whole thing with Sly Cooper? You're trying to play it again, or you're trying to find some way that you can play Sly Cooper?
I was trying to download an emulator onto my computer so that I could play it. But it was this whole kit and caboodle because I have a really old Mac and I would have to download like a whole thing where I would have to download a thing that would basically turn my Mac into a PC, and then I'd have to download something into that.
Yeah, Parallels, yeah. You could use Parallels to have a Mac on your PC on your Mac.
Yeah, I would have to open up a parallel reality in which I bought a Mac instead of a PC.
Right.
And then I would borrow his PC. So it's like, and it's good because the times are different. So that version of me is sleeping. So I just grab that PC from the sleeping version of myself in a
like
parallel
a time
reality.
turner type.
No, it's parallel reality. It has nothing to do with time turner. It's
not a Harry Potter.
Yeah, it's like it just however we decided what day and night was, like, or whatever in the universe decided what times were day and night. This universe is the opposite of that, and also I have a PC instead of a Mac.
Now, what system was Sly Cooper 2 Band of Thieves on originally?
It was on the PS2.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
You could probably get it if you had an older PlayStation on the PlayStation Store. But regardless of all of that, we are of course doing a segment of ought not. There are some shows that they ought to make, and there are many that they ought not. And this week we are talking about WCG Ultimate Gamer Season 1.
This week is a special week. This is I don't know how much you want to get into it because all I saw was the first episode, but you can talk quite a bit more and kind of spoil it for me if you want to, or we can just continue to make our way through this show until we both get to the finale and talk about that.
I will say I'd like to keep it relatively spoiler free, not because anyone should go watch this show. It's fine. But there I will say episode 4 and 5 there is a lot of drama. It is a very drama filled show, and it has that kind of rawness.
Yes, this is one of the things they ought to have rather than ought not. I could really sense the drama as I was moving through the episode here. What with the shots of them in the kitchen and the awkwardness therein. But I imagine once they get more comfortable with each other, they'll be a bit more dramatic. We of course are talking about the Ultimate Gamer. And I need to pull up the information on when that show came out. So
2009.
2009. And it ran from 2009 to
I think there were
2009. No, I have no idea.
Anyway, there's a YouTuber that has all of the episodes on them and split up into parts. And so as far as I can tell, there are only 2 seasons. One of the big things, and this seems to come up a lot, I think a lot of actors and actresses kind of get their start as game show hosts. I would like to start and finish my career as an actor, as a television host. But of course, Cece from New Girl is one of the 2 hosts of this show.
That took me a moment. That took me a moment to realize. So for those of you that don't know about this show, which is everyone in the world except for me, Sam, and Cece, this is a show.
Friend of the show,
it's called,
Cece. Yes.
Yeah, friend of the show, Cece. This is a show called The Ultimate Gamer, which was a reality show that aired on Sci-Fi, which is known for its amazing, groundbreaking content, especially in the aughts.
We've got a couple more lined up that are actually from the aughts and also Sci-Fi that are.
Oh, excellent!
Gem.
So it's the WCG, which stands for World Cyber Games.
Cool.
Yeah, so it's a show that basically what you do is there are 12 gamers who all live in a loft together, and they have to master video games of all types. So you have to get good at the sports games. You have to get good at the shooter games. You have to get good at the rhythm games is what they called Guitar Hero. They called it the rhythm games.
Well, to be fair, they do in episode 4 they do Dance Dance Revolution. So there is more than one rhythm.
Okay,
game.
I was talking on my ass there.
You're talking right out of your ass.
Talking out of my ass. So then that would be just fine. Just having them competing in games like that. You know, things that you're not really adept at playing. If you're a shooter game, you're probably not going to be very good at a rhythm game, or vice versa. But they also have to do real life creations of the games, real life simulations of the games.
And this is what I really think sets this show apart.
It's what I think sets the show apart, because from the first episode, which we'll get into, from what I can see, it is just humiliating these people. Like, if you thought for 1 second, you jackass, that you were going to come onto this show and we were not going to put you through a wood chipper. It is. Right. It's absolutely incredible.
On the Jeff to Chris scale, or to remind people, the Jeff Probst or helping side of the scale, and the Chris Harrison hurting side of the scale. This is much more on the Chris side of the scale.
Yeah, it is. You're not learning shit about yourself. It is not to
improve
better.
your life.
There is for no betterment. It is just to mock you.
Yeah.
So basically, when I say real life simulations, what I mean is, like, if you're playing a basketball game, guess what? Get your ass in some gym shorts, because you're about to be playing the Harlem Globetrotters or something like that.
That actually does happen. They do play a basketball game, and they have to have a dunk contest where they jump off a diving board and dunk into a pool.
Can't wait for the ambulance shot coming out of that episode. Cannot wait for that. So the episode that we'll be talking about is
one of the best.
Yeah, the episode we'll be talking about is episode 1. But first thing, if you lose the challenge of the real life simulations of the game, you have to, quote, fight for your life in an elimination round. They say fight for your life, which made me think that this was some sort of dystopian future a la episode of Black Mirror, where they were going to make people do a game in real life, and if they didn't win, a racing game, they had to go off a cliff in a car or something. It seems very, the way the elimination rounds are set up are very dystopian.
What if when you die in the game, you die in real life?
Yeah, there's a crowd, and it seems like if at any point in time, they had to kill one of the people, they'd be like, yeah, this is the Sci-Fi Channel. We don't give a shit. It's 2009. Basically, so the very first episode, we are following a rhythm game. We are following Rock Band 2. And let's meet some of our heroes. We have 12 absolute asshats that have wandered their way into
some
this
of
show.
Them are nice. I like a few of them.
I think that the standout ones from episode 1, then again, you know way more than me.
Sure.
Some of the standouts that I found was this guy named Robert, who has blue contacts that make him look like a fucking aquamarine character, or like a Pete Wentz mermaid.
Yes.
He's great. He never once takes off his hood because there is a gill underneath it, and he cannot show that to you.
Because he's a cool gamer guy.
Yeah, there is a cool gamer guy. There is a guy named Dante, who dresses like a vampire or a vampire hunter.
He does have Sephiroth hair, which is cool.
One of the first things I noticed about him is he's a little sexist, which was cool.
Oh, don't worry. That persists throughout the show. A lot of the men are incredibly sexist.
If you're a girl that plays video games, that's awesome. I support you, unlike this show. If you are a girl that plays video games, you are a girl that plays video games.
Yes.
That is that's only shit.
Which I will say from watching a lot of reality television, even modern reality television, it is a pretty common trope that if you're a woman on one of these shows, your whole bit is, I really want to win this show for all women. Like, that is...
Yeah.
Well, I watched a season of Alone just recently where that was this woman's bit. The glass blowing show on Netflix, there's a woman, that's her whole bit. She's like, it's a glass blowing is a real male-dominated field, which I'm like, sure, I believe you.
Yeah.
And she wants to win it for women. So it is kind of a bit on reality television.
Yeah,
maybe it's not a bit. Maybe that's how they actually feel. But it is a trope on reality television.
Yeah. So there's this whole shtick where you meet a bunch of the women. You meet Chelsea and Amy and Kelly and Alice. You meet all of them.
CG.
And CG, of course. Each of them do this talk to the camera where they kind of introduce themselves. And I forgot which one it is, but one of them is like, honestly, I'm hot, and I'm a girl gamer, right. So if you discount me, then I'm gonna beat your ass. The next one comes in and is just like, a lot of people discount me because I'm a girl gamer, so they think I'm not as good, but I'll snipe your ass. And then it goes to the next one, and they each do that thing, and then one of them comes out with an absolute banger, which is, my name's CG. I'm doing this for my kid. And I was like, hell yeah, CG.
In their defense, or maybe not in their defense, to bolster their point, one of the dudes, who I don't remember, comes out and he goes, "Oh, Chelsea, she's pretty hot, so I don't think she's going to be much of a threat," which was wild to hear. Like, wow, you're just saying it out loud, huh? That's just really what you think.
That was Dante, everyone's favorite vampire hunter. That was Dante who said that, and that's when I wrote down that he's a little sexist.
He does not get better, I'll tell you that.
They do this shtick where all the girls do that thing, and I kind of had a bit of a 2009 inspired eye roll. Sure. And then immediately after that, one of the characters goes like, yeah, that girl, she's hot, but she's probably not good at games. And they had not seen each other play games.
Yeah, explicitly because she's hot.
Yeah, and so I was like, oh, well, you got me there, WCG's Ultimate Gamer. You got me there. There is, at the very least, one absolute clown.
I will say it is not just one. It gets pretty dark at points where you're like, good. No.
And there is CG, who has a mysterious past with Dante, which I hope they expound upon. It was a very strange moment where CG goes like, I know Dante from my past. And then she was like, and I have feelings for him. And I was like, Dante?
Are you sure?
Yeah. So that's kind of the drama. Oh, and there's a guy named Mark whose name is Applesauce. That is his gamer tag. I know nothing about him because I did not see him in a lot of episodes or doing anything, but his gamer tag is Applesauce, and I feel like that is worth mentioning.
Sure.
So he's my favorite in that he got no screen time and he did not have a chance to be an absolute clown. But then again,
I would keep watching the television show, perhaps,
okay, great.
Before we make any decisions about any of these people. Sure, yeah. So that's the cast of characters. Yeah. I feel like we maybe lost the thread on one point, which is in episode 1 where they play Rock Band 2, the real life challenge is learn how to play the guitar and then play it in front of people. Which seems fucking wild. It's 50% of their score is whether or not they can, in an afternoon, learn the guitar.
And there's really the one thing I was going to say about the in an afternoon, there's really no sense of time in this show.
No,
I don't know. I don't know when things are happening. I don't know when a day passes.
Sure.
I don't know how long they've been in the house because you only ever see them. So this show moves at a breakneck pace.
Yeah, it's well edited. It's good.
You see a little bit of drama happening where there's this guy named Jeff who's flirting with this girl who's from Chicago. It's a whole thing. I don't know. But it you never know what time of day it is because you only ever see them in the kitchen kind of congregating in that area. And so they could have been practicing for weeks. Who knows?
Yeah.
And then they say something like my coach for this guitar, teaching me how to play guitar, played with some band. I don't remember, but it was just how long do you guys have to learn these instruments?
My impression was it was an afternoon.
It's
wild. They got there and it was a one shoot day thing as they did one shoot day of training and the next shoot day was the concert.
Yeah. So
That's my impression.
so they're learning. It must be in an afternoon, or maybe it's so well edited that it might have been like a whole day of training, and then a morning to afternoon of also training, and then concert that night.
Well, I only say that because I would think it's gonna take a whole day to set up and film the concert, so that's a separate day.
Yeah,
so maybe they only had the
instructor.
Right, maybe they only had the instructor for like a couple of hours, but he's also got 4 teams. So, he's got 3 teams. So, anyway, that was how I sort of processed. Like, oh, okay, it's not more than one day, but like, it's probably, it's probably a day.
Yeah. So we get these 3 bands together. We get Napalm.
Before you get there, Zach, you know how to play guitar.
I know how to play bass.
I've heard you play guitar. Well, okay, fine, whatever. How long do you think it took you to learn how to play the bass?
Very, very long.
Very long. So not an afternoon.
Not an afternoon. This is not an afternoon gig.
Not a thing that you can learn.
There's one section of a girl being like, "My fingers are not going to the right places," and I'm like, "Hell yeah, they're not."
Yeah, because you picked up a guitar for the. I just think it's. I mean, anyway, this continues on.
The thing that I think there's a lot, like the guitar is pretty egregious. I feel like the most egregious though is the drums, because it's like if you're not. Like, I feel like drumming is something that's so like innate to you. If you don't get it, you do not got it.
And you really have to like internalize the rhythm of it.
And they really must have just like got like whomever was like clearly not getting it. They were like, "You're the singer, all right."
Oh, of course, yeah. Well, because basically the singing was and we'll explain why, but the singing was basically the only thing they judged.
Yeah. Which is really funny.
Because they get these 3 bands together, as you were saying.
They get Napalm in the morning. We got Pandora. We got Pandora Rocks.
Bad.
And we got Pirates versus Ninjas, which is
also bad.
That is so. It's like I just bit out of just a big juicy fruit of 2009, and Pirates versus Ninjas came out. It could not be more 2009 as Pirates versus Ninjas. Anywhoozle, we get these 3 bands. They're playing this song by the Donnas. I'm sorry, I've never heard of the Donnas. I am very unaware, and so there's a twist. So they've been practicing all day. They get to the stage, and then they're just like, "Guess what, clowns? The people that are going to be judging you playing the song by the Donnas is." The Donnas. In
fact, the people who wrote it.
We got them. We got the band. And I honestly, I had to skip the songs. Did
you skip the songs?
Hell yeah, I skipped the songs.
Well, what you'll notice if you had listened to them. I had to infer
based on just like the thing where after people were clapping and like looking at facial expressions how they did. I could not. I couldn't do it. I was so horrified.
Well, what you would have noticed is, and what I noticed immediately was the singing is not good because they're not singers. But at first I was like, this music is because again, you cannot learn the guitar in an afternoon. This music is on point. Like, this is correct. This is the song they're playing. What the hell's going on?
I kind of did feel that for a bit when I was like, because in the times when I would like kind of skip through, there were moments where I was like, shit, these guys plumb figured it out.
And then you will notice that there is an entire band in the shadows behind them actually playing the song. Yes.
I did not see that.
If you go back and look, there are people in the background. No one's playing the drums. They have 2 guitar. The contestants are a singer, 2 guitarists, and a bass. Or, I don't know, maybe 2 basses. I don't know. Maybe they're fucking 3 bass players. I have no idea. But
it doesn't matter.
They all have stringed instruments. And behind them so they don't even have a drummer. Behind them is a drummer and a guitarist and a bass player who are like far enough back that the house lights aren't hitting them, but you can clearly see them.
No way.
And they're actually playing the music. So, no, of course, they did not learn the guitar in one day.
That is wild. Okay,
so it's only based on does the singer know the words to the song. That's how they decided who won.
That's so wild, because there's this one moment where CG, she's like, I'm a guitar player. And granted, she looks like a guitar player, so I bet she is.
Sure.
And then they like do this thing where when the Donnas are talking about how well they did, they're like, The guitar was on point. You didn't miss a single note. And now I feel like I have been lied to.
Yeah, I said, if you missed a note, we didn't notice. It's like, there's no way. Because that makes sense that they would do. It's just like they sort of fell ass backwards into this, like, compromise that they had to make. Because they're like, we want to make a show about video games. Okay. Well, we can't have a show where people are just playing video games by themselves. Although, that's a very 2009 theory. And I think when you get to episode 2, fighting games, you will realize that you could absolutely make a show that is just them playing video games. But in 2009, they didn't have Twitch. They didn't know.
Oh, no way.
And so they are like, well, we need to have some other aspect other than just the video games. Okay, real life video games. Now, the fact that it's worth 50% of the score is fucking ridiculous. I think it should be worth an advantage at most. But
yeah.
Whatever. So they're like, all right, let's do Rock Band. Well, okay, then obviously it's play music. Okay, well, no one wants to watch a segment of television which is 16 people who have never played an instrument before banging on the guitar. Okay, I guess we need to just fake a band. Like, it's crazy. I don't know. I understand how they came to that conclusion, but I will tell you in episode 3 is the racing one, and they do make them drift, and they do drift away.
What?
And, yeah.
I mean, if not drifting to win, what are they drifting for?
If you don't drift to win, what do you drift for? And they're drifting to win for sure. And one dude, Robert, goes, "I'm from New York City. I don't know how to drive." And they're like, well, figure it out. Like, it's 50%
figure it out, you dumbass.
He's like, I'm a gamer. I don't know how to drive. And they're like, yeah, well, now you're drifting around barrels. Good luck.
Robert is our mermaid Pete Wentz.
Yes, he is our.
Who I did notice when a little thing it popped up. It said he was from the Bronx, and I was like,
he is from the Bronx.
What? I was like, what an interesting life you live, my good friend, my good friend Robert.
So I really do think that the real life aspect is what puts this in the ought not category, because otherwise it is like the drama's good. It does have a little bit of that remnant of. I mean, it seems like a purely 2000s energy, because in 2009 you can see it tapering off. Like, they're not there is drinking, but it's not like the binge drinking of like the challenge. Like, nobody's talking about how slutty they are. Like, it is you see this real winding down of the like messy insanity of reality.
The Bush years.
The Bush years, yeah. Of course. Everyone recovering from their trauma of 9/11. I'm kidding. I don't think that's why it was that way. It might have been the Bush years, but
it might have been the Bush years.
It might have been the Bush years that drove everyone insane. I think
people in this really weird sort of sense of like all American conservatism, where like that's why whenever Jersey Shore happened, it blew the fucking like roof off, like of them being like, "What's up? We're slutty."
I don't know if that's what it. Well, no, because what I'm saying is that in the aughts, that was so much more of reality television. Was just
that's true.
Very like wild energy of like, I'm slutty and I'm drunk and I'm gonna fight, whereas like none of that happens on reality television anymore. And just as the form progressed, it got a lot cleaner, which is why I like focusing on the aughts, because it is such a chaotic, messy time in reality television. But if they remade it today, it would be purely a video game show, which would be a better show and probably last more seasons.
And they would get people who, like, let's face it, are probably more like better at video games. Like, I'm getting the sense that you do audition for this process. Like, you have to have some sort of...
You audition for all of these, for sure.
Yeah, you have to have some sort of competency when it comes to, like, video game stuff.
Well, they all have a specialty.
Yeah, but, like, I mean, these... Like, so most of these people on here, it's like, oh, you're like a hot person, like this, like, or like you're making a lot of noise, or like you clearly like like you have been brought on for a reality show. Like this is not truly to find like this is a group of good gamers. It's like this is a group of like people who are going to make a lot of noise when it comes to the cameras being on.
What they would do now is they would get Twitch streamers, right? But I think that's what they would do is get successful Twitch streamers who are but yeah, none of these people are the best in the world at what they do. Because funny enough, a lot of times when they get their mentor as their perk, so if you win the real life challenge, which again is insane that's a part of the game. If you're good at dunking, or episode 4 is the one that I recommend. If you can only watch one more, I would really recommend episode 4. It's the Dance Dance Revolution episode, and they go to the club, which I was like, oh, this is like a mainstay of like aughts reality television is like, and that's another thing that changes over time is like in this show they don't have their phones. Earlier shows they give them their phones and they're allowed to just like have their phone in the house they lived in together, and they like leave and go to the club and drink and like pick up girls. It was just wild because again none of that happens anymore, but like yeah, they just like fucking whatever. But anyway, so they're like, oh, we're all gonna go out to the club, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, this is the aughts, this makes sense. But because it's 2009, halfway through, Cece shows up and she's like, actually, it's a challenge. This week, we're doing Dance Dance Revolution, and all of you have to do an impromptu dance contest to decide 50% of your score, which is insane. So if you're good at dancing or good at dunking or good at drifting,
if you drift to win, if you dance to win, if you dunk to win,
if you step up and they got served,
this is gonna dip back into the vault, and this has nothing to do with what we were talking about. But can we just for a moment talk about Kung Fu Dunk?
Fuck yeah, segment over. Let's talk about Kung Fu fucking dunk, dude. Maybe because one of the best sports movies I've ever seen.
You were almost saying the line from Kung Fu Dunk. Like you kept almost saying it.
I don't remember it.
Like it was okay. So Kung Fu Dunk is a movie that
everybody
I think is
stop the podcast to go on Kung Fu Dunk. It's so funny.
Kung Fu Dunk is better than anything that we will ever do. Okay, so go watch Kung Fu Dunk.
I wish we had a segment that we could fit Kung Fu Dunk into, but this is now the Kung Fu Dunk segment.
Okay, so everyone go watch Kung Fu Dunk. Okay, welcome back from watching Kung Fu Dunk. So Kung Fu Dunk is this movie that I don't know exactly what the circumstances were, but Sam and I saw it our freshman year of college, and it is like
we're hanging out with
Snacks, Alex, I believe.
Yeah, Snacks.
Yeah. It's a movie that lives rent free in my mind.
The climax where the magic comes in.
I genuinely don't remember a lot about the movie.
I can tell you the crazier parts, but go ahead.
But so it's this guy who like grows up in a village or something. He
grows up with like a Shaolin. I'm gonna grab a beer before we do this. Okay, hold on. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
All right, let's talk about this fucking movie.
Yeah, brother.
So he grows up, I think, with like a monk.
Yeah, he
grows up like a Shaolin monk.
Like he goes up in like a kung fu temple or something or other,
something like that.
Yeah, and he he grows up with this guy who like has like these outlandish powers where he can like bip and bop around.
He can like stop time.
Yes.
That's like the whole thing. Is it like freezes time, but also it makes everything like cold, like literally freezes?
So he freezes time. And so that's like what the monk's power is. And it's like,
and he probably
not really it's like not really addressed, if I remember. It just kind of happens, and it's just like, oh, that's fucking weird, right? Like
there's real magic in this world.
This guy can freeze time. And so the guy freezes time, whatever. This kid grows up and wants to play basketball.
Yeah, separately.
And he's like a kung fu master who wants to play basketball. And so he's really good at shooting.
Like
he's really
good. Three.
Yeah,
like
he's really good at shooting.
Points. It's unbelievable how good he is
it's
at
like
threes.
it's done in this way where it's almost anime like. where he
It's
can
a very
shoot
anime
these.
movie.
He can shoot these threes, and he keeps making threes. He keeps making threes, and the line that like lives in my head is when he's like. He keeps making all these great shots. And then there's these two announcers, and they're just like, wow, another three for this guy. It's a shame he can't dunk.
It's written by people who do not know the rules of basketball. It's so fucking wild.
So
you do not get more points for dunking, guys.
Yeah, so like it's shown that like he is this like Steph Curry level of talent when it comes to like shooting threes, absolute game-changing abilities, and his entire arc is like he's not good at shooting threes, or no, he's not good at dunking. Like
he can't dunk.
He can't dunk, and it's like seen as like. He's like the most hated person
he
on
basically
his team.
Can't play basketball because he can't dunk.
Yeah, and he's just like belittled the whole time because he can't dunk. Meanwhile, he is like from half court, just shooting
far
them
and away the best
fucking
basketball
probably
player.
Honestly, I don't remember this, but he probably kicks a couple of them in. Like, why not? Like,
They're
it's so.
And I think that's what was so baffling. Like, for half the movie, what is so baffling is like. Do they think, or in this universe?
Yeah.
Dunks are worth count as more points, like because
dunks are worth 10 points.
What you guys are talking about?
So, yeah. So
they're obsessed with dunking.
So there's this guy, and he joins a basketball team, and if I remember correctly, there's like the leader of the basketball. There's like three main characters ish.
Yeah.
Well, so there is. There's the kung fu guy that can't dunk. There's a leader of the basketball team. There's a girl somewhere in the mix.
Sure.
And then there is like there's a rival basketball team.
Yeah, it's your basic sports movie setup.
Yeah, and the two rivals like cannot stand each other. And they have like this whole reason why they can't stand each other. Meanwhile, this guy's just trying to learn how to dunk. And so
keep in mind there is no kung fu so far in the movie.
No kung fu. So one of the games, he just like fucking like dunk, like he just like he jumps basically into the rafters.
Yeah.
And
he does. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he like careens down. He dunks. The backboard probably explodes.
Probably.
It's like this whole thing, and everyone's like, "Holy shit!"
Now this
guy can dunk. Like he is of infinitely more play. Like he is like, and like there's
he
like
got 2 points. Hooray!
There is like lines that really are something like "He who can dunk controls the game" and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just like silly lines. And the one thing that I remember the most, because I couldn't tell you a single thing about this movie except for the announcer saying like, "It's a shame he can't dunk," and then him dunking. And then there's this moment at the end of the movie.
Because there's like a bet to like save the rec center or something where he has to win the game.
Whatever.
For something.
The guy.
Classic sports movie.
Yeah. The main guy and the main villain, like something happens where, if I remember correctly, the villains win or something.
The referee like knocks the ball out of the basket.
Yeah,
like the referee like blocks the shot or some shit that you like cannot do in basketball.
Yeah,
and
it's
like,
something.
Well.
So I do remember this. Like the rival team wins, and it's like, oh no, the rival team wins. Meanwhile, with
the rival team wins doing something that is like 100% against the rules.
Yeah.
Very clearly against. It's not like not like the Karate Kid kick thing or like Rudy being offsides. It's like very obviously against the rules.
They lose like not fair and square, and then with absolutely no explanation.
The second time this has been brought up in the entire movie.
This has been brought up. There is no lead up. There is no like, oh, I remember. Just the Kung Fu Dunk guy just starts to like do this like Kung Fu sort of like move, and then time freezes, and then time starts going backwards.
And if I remember correctly, we do see time freeze in the beginning of the movie.
Yes.
But he is not taught how to do it. Like, it's just his Shaolin master, like, does it, and then I think gets killed.
Yeah.
So there's no reason that he knows how to do this.
So he does it, he reverses time, and they get to do the last play again, And then the rival player, and I am going to try to explain this in audio medium the best that I can. But if you're listening now, you've seen the movie, so you know exactly what happened. You know that it was. You know that it.
You remember better than we do because you just watched it.
Yeah. So like the last play happens, and then like our team hero, our the good boy team, he like starts to go up to dunk. He goes up to dunk to win the game.
Yeah.
And then the rival guy jumps up with him, and they're like Dragon Ball Z, way, way high in the air.
Yeah.
And they're like looking at each other, and they start to spin around each other. Like there's this moment where they're face to face, and they're like they both do a complete 360 turn in the air, and then the good boy team dunks it. I don't remember, shatters everything, whatever. What's important though is that apropos of nothing, he remembers taking reverse time, and I'm pretty sure there's a line where he says that. Where like after the game he says something like, "Oh yeah, I forgot I could do that."
Oh,
or like,
yeah.
oh yeah, I know kung fu.
Interesting, because you've never mentioned it before.
It absolutely never. Not even no kung fu. No like.
There's no kung fu in the entire movie
because everybody. It's not like he is so amazing. The movie goes out of its way to be like, he is a below average player in this universe.
Somehow,
he doesn't use his kung fu, or if he does, they're just like this jackass. Like they never see him as like some sort of amazing player.
Yeah,
it's like he is basically because he can't dunk. It is only until he dunks that people are like, "All right, welcome to the team."
It's amazing. I'm watching Kung Fu dunk scene on YouTube right now.
Oh, excellent.
I don't know if it's the last scene. Hey, that's a cool pass. Is this it? Oh, wow. He hits it up higher. He has a chance to grab it. He hits it up even higher. I don't know if that counts as a dunk. Sorry, I'm going to cut this, but I do just want to...
I'll watch it too, just so we are... Okay. Just so we're on the same page here.
Well, I want to see the finale.
Kung Fu dunk scene. From 11 years ago. Oh yeah, you can tell the bad guy's a bad guy because of his hair.
Gosh, I mean, it is like those old Shaolin movies where like they are on wires. Yeah, I mean, this is insane. This is what's so fun about the movie. Is it like they're on? I mean, they really are on wires, and they just
this really is like there
cool.
are animes that do this.
Yeah, it's like a Shaolin thing of like, or not Shaolin or whatever. It's like a Kung Fu
shit,
Masters.
Sam.
What's up?
The entirety of Kung Fu Dunk is on YouTube.
Holy shit.
Oh no.
Kung Fu Dunk.
So hold on just a moment. I don't even know how we're gonna cut that, but how we're gonna cut us just like fucking bullshitting around
talking about Kung Fu Dunk.
Yeah, but if you're interested in watching Kung Fu Dunk, it is on YouTube for free. It has 1.3 million views. The only catch is that it is dubbed in Hindi. So
now, what you meant was 40,000, actually, not 1.3 million.
No, I found I just typed in Kung Fu Dunk, and there is a YouTube channel that has it for 1.3 million views.
I'm sorry, I'm looking at the Vietnamese dub or the Vietnamese subtitles.
No.
Let me turn on the sound to see if it's in English.
Man, it seems like they are just giving this movie away on you. Like
Japanese. It's Japanese.
Nobody is copyright claiming this.
I gotta find oh my gosh, they're spinning around each other. Okay, at 120, you can see the final dunk. But I
is it Kung Fu dunk scene?
No, it's Kung Fu Dunk full Viet sub 2008. He does shatter the whole backboard. I'm trying to find
Dunk
time.
Full Viet sub. And what time is it at? Man, you were really
1 hour and 20 minutes.
Dude, you were like hauling ass through this.
Bro, I just clicked to the end of the movie. Here it is. This is
this is him reversing time. Oh, everyone's frozen. Oh, what a
117 is he the other team is winning. Okay, here's where I'll cut back in. So we found the full movie on YouTube at 1 hour and 17 minutes. Yep, he's just standing there and time freezes. Oh, never mind. This is the flashback.
What? Yeah, I'm not even. I'm not
Okay,
even
sorry. We have to
podcasting.
do something else. We have a whole other
I'm
segment.
not even podcasting anymore. I'm genuinely just like I was just watching Kung Fu Dunk. That's full time, real time. What was happening right there? I was not doing a single thing about watching Kung Fu
it's the
Dunk.
time freezing scene. It's so fucking crazy, and the flashback is him seeing his master do it once, and he's like, "Yeah, I remember how to do this."
And he is just like, he's like, man, it's a good thing that
I watched him do that one time.
It's a good thing I have photographic memory. That really came in clutch.
And I never tried it again for this. Now, granted, I could have probably tried it for bringing him back to life, but no.
Nope, 0% on that one. I had to do it. I had to do it for this game. I couldn't, man. I should not have brought up Kung Fu Dunk. That is that is such a foundational part to our friendship, as well as just like everything cinema history, everything that we love. So go watch Kung Fu Dunk. 10 out of 10. Easy 10 out of 10.
Easy 10 out of 10 Kung Fu Dunk.
It is an absolute masterpiece.
You might also find it under the name Shaolin Basketball, which I think is the alternate title, but Kung Fu Dunk is on. You'll find it on YouTube if you look.
Yeah, don't you type in Kung Fu Dunk, boy, it just like get a group together, just have your friends and just admire just Kung Fu Dunk and all of. Because there's definitely stuff that we're forgetting. Because by the end of it,
because the whole movie's buck wild, I believe.
By the end of it, I remember we were so invested that we were just like, when he started freezing time,
because it's out of absolutely nowhere,
like 100%. Yeah, and like you can definitely pull yourself out of reality. You can bend that when it just rules so hard, and Kung Fu Dunk just rules that hard.
All right, but I got a hard out at 7:30 because I'm going to a baseball game, so I have got to move on from Kung Fu Dunk.
Okay, well that's super fun. So Nashville Sounds, they're still getting after it.
Still getting it. I'd like to go to our next segment, our final segment of the.
Very excited for this one.
It is the late night double feature picture show. This is a segment where I review two old movies. At this point, they've both been old sci-fi movies from the 50s and the 80s, respectively.
Guess what, clowns? No, both of them are Kung Fu Dunk.
They're both Kung Fu Dunk. Again, we're going to talk about it for 20 more minutes. No. This is a segment I recently have had an itch where I want to watch some old classic films. Sci-fi horror. You're not like Casablanca, but like campy sci-fi. We just don't do that anymore. Everything's too gritty reboot. Everything's too genuine, too emotional. There's not just good old-fashioned camp. And so I started watching these movies, and I thought, well, everything has to turn into content because we live in hell. So I decided to make a new segment, Late Night Double Feature Picture Show. The first film I'd like to talk about is Forbidden Planet from 1956. And the other film is Flash Gordon from the year 1980. Both these films are set on foreign worlds and have lots of fun and adventure. Have you seen either of these films? Are you familiar with them?
No, I haven't. I'm familiar with Flash Gordon, and I'm tertiarily aware of Forbidden Planet.
Now, personally, I would suggest to you Forbidden Planet. Between the two movies, I think it is, well, it's hard to say which is a better movie. It's not a competition. That's not the point of the segment. But, so here are my notes on Forbidden Planet. I'd say the first third of it is a little weak. There's this kind of love story yada that's happening that I think is weak, but after the first third it really picks up and becomes a really interesting story with lots of twists and turns. The monster in it is really interesting, and despite their limited budget, they have a lot of, what matte paintings are?
Yes.
So for the audience, matte paintings are these like backgrounds that are painted that are somewhat like photorealistic, and they use them to fill in the set. So if you think of like in Star Wars or something where there's these big overhead shots down like a big column and it like goes way down deep into the Death Star, what they actually do is they paint that column and then set it on the set or in front of the camera in some kind of way to give the illusion that that is part of the set. But the set is actually much smaller than in reality. They do this a lot in really great effect in Lord of the Rings. But there are some matte paintings in this film that are beautiful, and I know they're matte paintings. I'm sure most people would recognize that it's not real, but just the scale and scope of it is fantastic.
Yeah, lots of like modern films still kind of like if they are going for kind of a noir look, they will still do that. Very famously, like Dick Tracy, which was a movie kind of based on a comic book. It's from the 90s. They use matte paintings in their backgrounds for shots, and they're absolutely beautiful. The movie itself is kind of dumpster fire, but the matte paintings they use to like show setting are just absolutely beautiful.
Well, and I would say something between both of these, and maybe why I've recently been just sort of attracted to this era of film as well, is that there is something very charming about the lack of CGI and green screen. Now, there is green screen in Flash Gordon. It was in 1980.
All right, boomer.
Yeah. But really, like, there's something, especially Flash Gordon, the costumes and the sets are amazing. And, like, there is something about, even if it's less complicated, seeing a person in an interesting costume makes me much more interested in, like, oh, what's their backstory? What are they doing? Like, it makes the world feel so much more real
than
it's like 35 different CGI aliens where I don't feel that way of like, oh, what's their deal? They have no deal. They're not real. And I don't know if that's, I don't know if it's because of CGI. I don't know if I'm just being biased.
No, I think that's true. Like when you think about like I like some of the bits. And the reason I know about Flash Gordon is because of its like direct inspiration on Star Wars. Like that whole like that whole series was very much like based upon like Star Wars. And you kind of like I think of like in talking about Star Wars when like people are still thinking about that cantina scene from all these years later, and it's like there's a werewolf in it, like
there's like a Halloween masked werewolf.
Yeah, and like all of them have like such distinct personalities because they're dressed like they live there. Like they're not dressed like they're an army or that they're like you know like they're like they are serving no purpose other than they live there, and that's what they dress like. And when you get a lot in the costumes, especially like when you have not a lot of budget and you just have to throw something together, like it's like something shiny or just like in the case of Star Wars, just like some regular ass clothes on like a Halloween, like with a Halloween mask on it. And like it feels so much more lived in that they don't all dress in like a very pristine way because it's like they wouldn't, because why would you do that on a desert planet?
And just something about it is, I mean, again, I work in animation and like I have great respect for VFX artists. No shade to them at all, but even just, I mean, and Flash Gordon is not, I don't think, a low budget film. The costumes and the sets are really amazing, but I think even as good as VFX are currently, like, you can just tell, you can just feel that they're in a real room. And that's really cool. The reason I think you would like Forbidden Planet is my like one sentence summary is that it is a feature length episode of The Twilight Zone. I really came away from, I think Flash Gordon could have been a better film than Forbidden Planet. I'll explain some very odd choices they made that made it not a better film. But Forbidden Planet, while the first third I think is pretty weak, the second 2/3 are really strong, and I think the whole premise and the film as a whole is a really good thing. What's weird in Flash Gordon, and I had to watch it.
You're saying like, so I think kind of what I'm getting from you is that like if it is a 1956 movie, it's still where like sci-fi does kind of live in that Twilight Zone era. Where
it is a good watch regardless.
Yeah, well, it's definitely, it's like a good watch, but like in that sort of like what sci-fi was originally before it became like kind of like, you know, because Star Wars is kind of like a swashbuckling, like these are pirates, but cowboys, they're in space.
Right.
Yeah, before it became cowboys and like going on space adventures, like sci-fi kind of had that mentality of like, this is about aliens, and then that person pretty much looks directly at the camera and goes, "This isn't about aliens. Like this is about society or whatever." And it like has a really like, because the audience has like divorced themselves from it enough, they are more willing to be critical of the way that they handle things. And when it's like an alien doing it, and then you realize it's like, oh, we do that.
I would say that while I am not familiar with that divide in sci-fi, if that is the case, these are both on either side of that divide. Like Forbidden Planet is Twilight Zone, Flash Gordon is I mean, he's literally part of the charm of the film is he's literally a football player and he knocks over aliens with the Heisman. It's really funny. It's also it's like a funny campy movie. I really recommend it. The thing that is not good at
it's interesting that you say, because and based on what I know about Forbidden Planet, only tertiarily, I don't really consider that one to be campy. Like I think that one's about as campy as The Day the Earth Stood Still, which is like a definite like geopolitical like takedown movie.
Yeah, it's very similar. I haven't seen The Day the Earth Stood Still, although I'm sure it will come up for this segment. But it's not. It takes itself seriously. There's a little bit of like old spaceships. This always feels a little campy. But two things about Flash Gordon. One, it's hella racist, which I do have to mention.
Oh no!
Yeah, the main bad guy is called Ming the Merciless.
No.
Like the Ming Dynasty, and he is the leader of the planet Mongo, like the word Mongol.
And he's white, right? He's white?
He is played by a white guy, yes.
Oh, even worse.
He does have a Fu Manchu mustache and long fingernails and like this kind of eyeshadow that like I think is supposed to be like squinty eyes, and he also has big arched eyebrows. So he is played by a white guy, but Ming the Merciless seems pretty racist.
Flash Gordon. Oh, wait.
The movie.
The 1980 movie?
The 1980 movie.
Oh, wow. Okay. I was thinking that possibly...
There's a TV series, and there's a TV series.
I was thinking I possibly didn't know about an earlier incarnation of Flash Gordon, and then I was like, wait a minute, and then I looked it up, and sure enough, there he is. There's Ming.
So there are earlier incarnations. I believe there's a comic book, and there is a TV series from I think the 50s that's in black and white. But this is like the big movie debut of Flash Gordon. So number one problem, Ming the Merciless, hella racist. The other problem is they seem to have cut out several scenes in a way that is baffling. Like, what I mean is, there will be two characters and they're like escaping, and then the next time you see them, they have been captured without the scene in between showing them being captured.
Oh my, okay.
This happened several times where like I had to back up and go like, wait, I thought they were like flying away. And it's mostly when people get captured. Like
this movie was, unlike Star Wars, not saved in the edit.
No, like okay, I'll give you one example where at one point it's Flash, Dale, and Dr. Zarkov. And they are in this like they're on this planet, they're hanging out with these people, and Ming comes to come get them. So it's them and they're like, uh-oh, Ming's coming. Cut to Ming's spaceship and he's like, capture the girl and the scientist, leave Flash for me. Cut back to the planet and it's Ming and Flash is like, where are you taking them? And you see a spaceship go away. But they cut out the scene where they take them, which seems wild. Or another scene where two characters are like flying away, then you go to a different scene with some different characters, and then you cut back and those two characters have been captured. And they do not show the scene where they get captured. They're just like, we're captured. And it's like, hey dog, what? Like, why did you leave that scene out where that thing... It happens like 4 times. And there's a couple like things where like a character does something. Okay, I'll tell you, there's one where a character gets, they're using this ray on him. And one character says, all right, only take it to level 3 or they'll go insane. And they say, okay. And then that character walks away and the other character goes, turn it to level 6, and they shoot him with the level 6 ray. And then that has no consequences and never comes back up again. And it's like...
Is it, were they using it on Flash?
No, they were using it on Dr. Zarkov.
I was saying because he's so smart or because he's so strong.
Well, it is because Dr. Zarkov is so smart. I don't want to ruin the movie, but like,
Okay.
that isn't ruining anything because I promise you, it doesn't ever. Honestly, like, you'll have a better experience if after you hear that line, you forget about it because it'll just bother you the whole movie. You're like, is this something? It's not. It's nothing. And it's these really weird things where they just seem to have left out pivotal 5-second scenes that make the movie genuinely confusing to watch, where you're watching it and I had to back it up a couple of times where I'm like, did I miss something? So I would say overall, Forbidden Planet is a better movie, but Flash Gordon has better potential because what's on screen is great, but some of the cuts are genuinely detrimental to the film because they're so confusing why they did it. But it's a really good film, and all the extreme racism. But but the racism is just confined to Ming, so like you can kind of get over it if you can get over it. The costumes are great, the sets are great. It's a fun movie. Ming is hella racist, but everything else is it's a definite recommend. Fun movie.
Yeah. This is I'm really excited. I'm excited about the continuation of this concept for you, and I think I'm going to join in. But I want to take a step away from sci-fi movies, and I think I'm interested in doing a similar concept, but doing it with like instead of sci-fi, old 1950s, 60s, 70s, and 80s horror movies.
As long as you. Okay, wait. Maybe I'll cut this so that I don't spoil it for the audience, but I already have planned the Universal Monsters for October.
Oh,
as long as you don't take the Universal Monsters in October, then I'm fine.
I will not. Yeah. So yeah, there's some that I've been meaning to like look up, like that I've heard about. Like I have never seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre,
sure,
or Twitch of the Death Nerve, or like Savage, like things. Yeah, it's either these old like slasher movies that
sure.
I think that are much like old sci-fi, like before it got hyper violent and before like kind of the genre of horror changed for the worse. It's like one of those it like tries to say something where instead of just being like an adventure, or instead of just being like violence for violence sake, it's just like, oh, this is about like classism, or this is about like relationships between like mothers and daughters and things like that. So I'm definitely excited to look into that.
Well, I want to know what you think here because I might. So I called it Late Night Double Feature Picture Show as a reference to the Rocky Horror Picture Show song.
Mm-hmm.
I might change it to Midnight Movies because that is more the genre that we're talking about. Like when we talk, like what we're describing is Midnight Movies. And that means we only have to do one movie per segment instead of two.
That's true. Yeah.
Because if it's a late night double feature picture show, it does have to be a double feature.
Yeah.
But when we get to specifically October, it's like I need Swamp Thing, Dracula, Frankenstein, and The Mummy.
Bride of Frankenstein. You need them all.
Oh, Bride of Frankenstein. You're right. But still, so like those four, that's 4 weeks of these. So I think Midnight Movies is maybe, even though I could call it Late Night Double Picture Show. I think Midnight Movies could definitely, we could talk to our friend about getting another theme song for that, like some sort of Thera. What was that thing called? It's like that makes the woo, whatever that noise is. Oh, the Z. It starts with a Z.
Xylophone.
No, zither. It might be a zither. Anyway, regardless.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, so the new segment, and I hope you like it.
I'm excited for it. Well, anyway, that's our show. Thank you all so much for coming to Get Better. If you want to find more of our stuff, you can find us on Instagram at Get Better Podcast. That's at Get_Better_Podcast. You can also find us on Instagram at Get Better Podcast, where you can find our full episodes as well as clips you can share around. If you're listening to us on Spotify, that's awesome. Please keep doing that. But if you're listening to us on Apple, the iTunes podcast app, please give us a rate and review. It actually really helps us to get noticed and to have a bit more fan base where we can start giving you guys more and better content, I guess. And if you want to meet us, you don't. But if you want to reach us, you can reach us at meetthefockers2 fockedup@gmail.com. That is meetthefockers2 fockedup@gmail.com. And that's all I have. So see you guys next week.
All right.
See you. Bye forever.